Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to Peter Watches TV. And I have to tell you guys what is so weird is that I am so nervous to make this video. I don't know why. This weekend I binge watched Fallout on Amazon Prime, and I was gonna make the video yesterday. And right before I was getting ready to make the video, I was like, no, I'll just do it tomorrow, I'm so nervous talking about these shows, and what's so weird about it is, probably the thing I talk about most in my life to people is television shows. For those of you that have watched my channels across the board, I have 7 channels, that have watched my channels across the board, you know I watch TV avidly. I am constantly watching TV. I just recently changed this channel from being an all-reality TV channel to just all TV shows in general because I watch so many TV shows. And I love to binge watch a show. Like, probably one of my favorite things is to find a show and binge watch it. And so this weekend, I binge watched Fallout, and I have a lot of thoughts about it, a lot of feelings, and I started seeing people talk about it online, and they were comparing it to the video game, and I started feeling like really insecure about my opinions about the show, which is so funny because if I was just talking to one of my friends, I'd be like, yeah, like I thought it was really, really great, and this and that didn't work, and this worked really, really well, and I love that, and yes, there's going to be a second season, obviously, and it was left on a cliffhanger and all this kind of stuff, right? But when it comes to talking about it on video, I don't know why I get so nervous about it. So let me explain kind of the background of this, because one of the reasons why I did change this channel over from just doing reality TV is because, like I said, I love to binge watch a TV show, you know? And so I'll go in and I'll binge watch a TV show, and I thought, well, I want to talk about like a show that I just binge watched in 2 or 3 days and like what I thought about it, you know? For a while, I was watching all the Harlan Coben shows on Netflix. Any new show that comes out, if people say to me, you have to watch this, I binge watch it right away, right? And I keep a very keen eye on the Netflix top 10 TV series, you know? I just did a video over here and binge watched the show Unlocked in like 2 days, I think. And so last night, I was like, I don't really know what to watch. I was like, I know I want to binge watch something, and I'm currently trying to make my way through The Walking Dead. I just finished Fear the Walking Dead, and so I'm making my way through The Walking Dead. I'm on season 7. And I just have not been really, like, in the mood to watch The Walking Dead. I'm like, I kind of need a break from this, you know? And so last night I was, like, looking. I have a list of shows on here that I want to binge watch. I keep a list of all the shows that I've watched for this year. If you guys want to know how many shows I watched this year. As of last night, let's see, 2024 watch TV shows. I have currently watched 58 shows as of 2024. I mean, a lot of shows, right? And my weekly shows currently are Vanderpump Rules, The Valley, Survivor, The Amazing Race, Loot, Vanderpump Villa, American Horror Story Delicate, which ends tonight, and The Walking Dead, and I'm on season 7 of that. I'm on episode 9, season 7. Out of, how many seasons are there? So anyway, I am out of 16 episodes on that season. I think there's 11 seasons total. And I'm constantly watching, like, looking for a new show, and I love true crime. I think you guys know that. I will be covering some of the true crime documentaries that I watch from time to time. I thought I was going to keep that on my Peter Mon channel, but I think I'm going to do that over here as well. So last night I was like looking through these shows, and I was like, I've been wanting to kind of start Grey's Anatomy from the very beginning. My husband watches it, whatever. And so I was like, well, I'm going to watch all 400 seasons of that. There's like a bunch of shows that I've like wanted to watch and binge watch. So I was looking through the Netflix list, and I really went into last night thinking I was going to start Ripley. I love the movie, The Talented Mr. Ripley, with Matt Damon, and, you know, I watched that when it first came out. I love that. I read the book by, I think I read half the book by Patricia Highsmith, and I love her as a writer, and so I saw that it was all in black and white, and I thought, okay, it was like very Tom Ford movie, and I thought, let me maybe, you know, watch this, and so I was going to watch that last night. I'll probably start watching it tonight, because it's on the top 10 on Netflix. I had started watching Three Body Problem, and when we were in Miami, and I got like 2 episodes in, and I didn't finish it. My husband watched it in like 1 day and loved it. So he was like, I don't know that I really think it's your kind of show, though. So anyway, last night, I was talking on the phone and stuff, and finally, I like picked a TV show, and I was like, I'm just going to watch this Baby Reindeer. Baby Reindeer's kind of been on my radar. But the thing is that on my vlog channel, I vlog every single day. On my vlog channel, when I've mentioned it, some people have said it's really, really good. Other people have been like, it's kind of a pass, like I would miss it, you know, like it's not that great, whatever. So I went in last night, and I started watching TV about 2:15. And so I went in last night, and I was like looking at all the shows to binge watch and whatnot, and I was looking at Baby Reindeer. and I saw that it had 7 episodes, and the episodes were all different times, like kind of like the Unlocked show. Like some of the episodes were 30 minutes, some of them were 38 minutes, some of them were 31, some of them were 48. And so I was like, okay, this is a show that I could probably binge watch in like 1 or 2 settings, right? So I started watching it last night. And if you don't know what a Baby Reindeer is about, it's a British show, and I'm going to read you this article from CNN that kind of gives you a little bit of a synopsis on it. What you need to know about Baby Reindeer, the Netflix show people can't stop talking about. On its surface, Netflix Baby Reindeer has all the fascination of a good episode of Dateline. There's the aspiring comedian who bartends to make ends meet, an odd but harmless seeming female admirer who becomes a stalker, and a cautionary tale in it all that will leave viewers thinking twice about offering someone a cup of tea. But writer, producer, and star Richard Gadd's thriller miniseries evolves into much more as each episode unfolds. Gadd's retelling of his real-life encounters with a stalker through the fictional Donnie Dunn and Baby Reindeer is also a story of trauma and healing. In the show, Donnie Gadd, the actor, is a survivor and the creator, is a survivor of SA, an event set threw his life and ambitions into a tailspin from which he still hasn't recovered. The story begins when his stalker, Martha, played by Jessica Gunning, enters his life while the details of his assault are told in a graphic 4th episode that details with the grooming and manipulation that played a part in his abuse. Gaddis said the story is very emotionally true, telling The Guardian that he was both severely stalked and severely abused. But we wanted to exist in the sphere of art as well as protect the people it's based on, he said. And people are trying to find out who it is, he goes on to say, and he says that they have like disguised him so well in the show that you can't figure out who it is and things like that. And actually, I went in there and I looked last night, and Gadd, who's the actor in it, but he's also the creator, and this is based on his one-person play that he took his experiences and turned it into. He is also doing a lot of work in the UK on male survivors of SA and things like that. The episode, the 4th episode, that's a lot about his experience with SA, also has a lot of addiction issues in it too, which as a person in recovery, I've been sober for over 29 years, really brought to the surface for me a lot. And the show is so real. So let me tell you how the show starts. So it's about this guy, and he's a wannabe comedian, and he's trying to make it famous, and he's working in a bar in I believe, London, and this woman comes in, and she doesn't have any money, and she's very upset. And through a kind gesture, and I'm not going to spoil it for anybody, I just want to say I usually spoil shows over here, but I'm not going to spoil it for you, but I will tell you what my overall feeling was, but I won't ruin it for you. But trigger warning, I will tell you, it talks about addiction, it talks about SA, it talks about a lot of very serious issues, coming out issues, and things like that. So she comes in to the bar that he works in, and she can't afford a tea, so he was like, it's on the house, because he can tell that she's very, very upset. She says that she's an attorney, she's a lawyer. She talks about how she has all these high-profile cases. She just bought this penthouse. She has this house here, this house there, and she's very wealthy, but she can't afford this tea. And so he's like, there's something off. Every day after that, she starts to come in, and she orders a Diet Coke. He gives it to her for free, and they have this banter back and forth, right? There's no attraction on his part, but you can instantly tell that she has this huge attraction towards him. And so he doesn't really know what to make of it. He's currently involved in another relationship, which they go in depth and talk about. They go in depth and talk about the other relationship and how it's affected by the stalking. Now, if you watch any of my other channels, you probably know I have had extreme experiences in the last 4 years with being stalked and being harassed online. When I tell you that I felt seen watching this show, I felt seen. I don't think people really understand how intrusive it is to your life, how really the levels that people will go to be intrusive to your life, really how miserable and angry people are out there that end up just becoming obsessive about it. So I felt watching the show very, very seen. The first time in a very long time in talking about or addressing stalking and harassing, which is a very, very real thing. And even the show shows in there about how, like, the police, like, their hands are tied and they really struggle with being able to do anything about stalkers and harassing. And as somebody that has consulted attorneys and cyber stalking things and have gone to great lengths to do all this kind of stuff, there's only limited things you can do. And usually the people that our stalkers and harassers know the ways to get around it, and they are extremely intrusive, which means why you have to take it very, very seriously. And the show shows why he doesn't, and it explains the backstory to why he struggles coming out and taking it as further as he can. As somebody that's gone through that, I will tell you, if you are a victim of stalking and harassing, get serious about it very, very quickly and do what you need to do. I will just tell you that, and protect yourself. It's a very long process. Mine hasn't even come anywhere near to the end of dealing with what I have to deal with, and I'm still dealing with it on a regular basis. I don't really talk about it much in my videos anymore, but since this show is about that, I wanted to say that. It's a very serious thing. And make sure that you consult law enforcement, you consult an attorney, and you consult cyber stalking and cyber harassment people. I was actually kind of surprised at the end of this show. They put trigger warnings in the show about the SA. They put trigger warnings in there, or they put things at the end about if you're somebody struggling with mental health issues, but they don't put anything in there about cyber stalking or harassment and things like that, and outlets for that, which I thought was kind of interesting in the show as somebody that experienced it, because I really felt seen. What's interesting is it goes in and it explains that this experience that he's had with the SA and his abuse is really what leads him to tolerating it for as long as he does. And what's interesting to me about that is, as I'm watching the show last night, I thought about all the excuses I've made for all the things that have happened to me with the stalking and the harassing online. And I mean, it's been so intrusive. If you guys don't know my story, it's people calling my doctors, people calling my vets, people trying to get my medical records, people calling my friends, family, people like doxing information about me, public records, things like that, legal court records, things like, I mean, on and on and on. It's been really extremely intrusive. And to the point that it's pretty scary, and I know who most of the people are that are doing it. It's taking action and moving to the next step is that part of it. And so when I'm watching a show, I'm asking myself all these questions like, why did I allow it? Like, I can remember back in the day when it was going on and I made all these excuses. I wouldn't stand up for myself, and a lot of it was so much about self-worth and self-concept that I didn't feel like I was good enough. I felt like it just kind of goes along with being online. This is what you have to deal with, when there's nothing right about it at all. There's nothing okay about somebody being so obsessive and so stalkerish and intrusive. And what's so interesting to me is that the people that I still see that are doing it online are always the ones that say, Peter acts like he has stalkers and he doesn't, and they're literally the ones that are stalking me and harassing me, and I know all their background information. And so it's really scary that that's their mindset, and you can see through the show that she doesn't see that she's doing it, right? Like, she doesn't see that it's stalking and harassing until it's like really even brought to her doorstep towards the end of the show. Like, she, even after that, doesn't really see. I mean, he has to follow through, okay? Which is why I'm taking this opportunity for people that will ask, like, are you still pursuing it? I am pursuing it behind the scenes. I'm not going to say to what measure and how I'm dealing with that, but it is being dealt with behind the scenes. It's being dealt with through YouTube, and it's being dealt with through other social media accounts where people are harassing me, and it's being dealt with, and it will be dealt with. It just is a long process for that. And I will tell anybody that if you are being stalked in person or online, take it very, very serious. It can get very, very scary. On the show, it shows that it has to get to a scary point for the police to take it seriously. Thankfully, that was not necessarily the case for me. So I watched the show, and I'm loving it. And to be honest with you, when I started it, I thought, I don't really think I'm going to be into this show at all. After the first episode, I was absolutely hooked. Absolutely hooked. And I just was like, I could not believe how good it was. I literally sat in my chair inside. I got up once to refill my Diet Dr. Pepper. I had 2 Diet Dr. Peppers last night, which I don't usually have. I usually only have 1. I had 2 last night, and I sat there from like 2:15 until like 6:45 in the morning, and I watched the whole thing. It was so fantastic. I was like, I can't go to bed and leave like 2. I was going to leave 2 episodes up for tonight. I was like, I have to see how this ends, right? And it's all kind of centered around this viral moment that he has. And the viral moment, and you have to remember, this is based on a true story. This is a real event that happened in his life, and the writer, actor, and creator, he turned this into this one-person show that he does. I think it was a one-person show, but he turned it into the show that he did, that then they made this TV series out of it. And the fact that it's going viral, and when you see the show and what he's gone, when you watch the TV show and you see what he's gone, not only is it binge-worthy, not only is it edge of your seat, like you can't stop watching it because you want to know what she's going to do. I mean, it's definitely a thriller. I mean, it's 100% a thriller. But not only can't you stop watching it because you're like, you want to find out what's going to happen, it's so heartfelt. I mean, literally every piece of him is taken, and you can see, and I can tell you right now, my experience was not anywhere on the level of his was, but you can see that each part of his life is taken from him, and he's losing bit by bit, and he doesn't feel like he can fight it anymore. And he has this moment, this viral moment that goes viral, when you watch the show, you know what I'm talking about. And it's this moment that's like this freeing of himself, and it was so strange watching that, because when I finally came out on video and I talked about this happening to me, it wasn't like that moment on the show for him. I mean, it's a really huge moment in the show. But for me, it was very much like that. It was this cathartic, process of being like, I'm finally done with this. But then you think when you're watching the show, like, okay, and then it's going to turn around and it's going to end for him, and it doesn't. And that was exactly how it was for me. And like nothing, like I had this moment of clarity, but none of the stalkers or the harassers did. They just kept on doing it, So you still have to deal with that every day. And I was so thankful the show showed that. One of the things I will say is, and watching the end of this show, because I was like on the last episode and it was like 30 some minutes long. I think it was 38 minutes or 31 minutes. And I was like, I don't know how this show's going to end in 30 minutes. And, I feel like we live in a time, like one of the things that I have noticed a lot about whenever like shows and movies anymore and how they end. I think, what was the one with Julia Roberts that was called something at the end of the world or whatever? I feel like people want catastrophic endings or extreme closure and extreme, significant, powerful endings. But that's not really how the world works. That's definitely not how cathartic art works in processing things, And so the ending to me, when you watch the ending of it, okay, and he has this moment where he puts everything together and understands, not really like the entirety of it, because I don't think you really ever can unless you come from that mindset. Like somebody emailed me when I was talking about all this, and they said, you're never going to understand where they're coming from because you don't think that way. And it was such a pivotal moment for me. I was so thankful of that email that person sent me, because it was really this moment where I was like, they're absolutely right. Like, I don't think that way, so I'm never going to get it. And you can tell he's constantly trying to figure this out. Like, they'll show that, and they show it in the show. And he has this moment at the very end. It's how the show ends, which shows that all of this can start from like one kind gesture, right? And like somebody takes it and run with it. And I've always said, like, people, get very upset about like things I say online, whether it's they agree with me, they disagree with me, or I didn't give somebody attention. People out there will tell you that the one person that gets the most upset with you is the person's DM you don't respond to, or you don't say what they want you to say, and things like that. And it's so interesting watching this, because this is, my experience is online harassment, where his is in real life. Well, mine's now affected my real life as well. And some of the things that I've experienced are similar things to what he has experienced in the show. But his is, in real life. And he has this moment, right, where it's like, in that moment was really how it started with him and her, and how somebody could, and he gets it like in that moment, how somebody could take this and run with it. It is important to note, and this is, you find this out kind of like early in this show, that she has a history of this, and it's his feeling, and this was something that I so related to, it's his empathy towards her, that he feels really bad for her, and like that's something with me that I so related to, that I was like, I feel bad for these people, like they literally, like they have no life, they're miserable, they're sad, they're upset, and so they're focusing all this attention, on me. And like I really, like you see that in the show. The show is done so well. It's coming from somebody that has experienced it, like not, like, yes, it's in my real life, it affects my real life, but most of it comes from online stuff. When you see it, how it happens to him in real life, and like I said, it's not, I mean, not on the level that he was, but like it is so powerful, because so many of the feelings that he has felt are feelings that I have felt, and the empowerment at the end of it, of like trying to work through and live your best life possible, is like huge. I loved the show. It was absolutely 100% a 10 out of 10 for me, which is not easy with TV shows. I mean, I would not have stayed up and binge watched this all night long. I would have left 2 or 3 episodes. I usually do that, but I could not stop watching it. I went upstairs, my husband was getting ready for work, and he goes, well, you're just coming to bed now? And I go, I just binge watched Baby Reindeer. I could not stop. And he was like, I'm gonna watch it tonight. So anyway, I want to come on here and do that review for you guys today. I love you so much. Let me know what you think about this if you watch it in the comment section below. If you haven't, I didn't ruin much of it for you. You can still watch it and you will still love it. And there's a lot I didn't tell you. There's a lot of surprising thriller moments to it. And you have to remember it's based on a true story as well. It's fantastically done. Let me know what you think in the comment sections below. I love you in the comment sections below. The comment section below. I love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.